Hi and welcome to MarketingBA's second Dreamweaver video tutorial. In the first tutorial we went through how to create your site in Dreamweaver, and we created the site folder and the images folder and also the index page. And then we went over to the page properties and we went through the different tabs here, the appearance tab where we looked at the font, the size, the text color, background color, and the background image, and how to repeat these in different ways. And we also looked at the links and how to format these, the different fonts you want to use, the size, and the different colors if you roll over and if it's an active link, etc. And then finally we looked at the headings here, how you set these up to make them the way you want them to be. So in this tutorial I'm going to be looking at how you insert tables, images, and a navigation bar. Okay, so let's start by inserting a table. And there are two different ways to do this. Either you can go up to the menu and click Insert, choose Table, or you can go to the Common tab under Insert and just click the table icon. And we're going to create a table now with one row and one column, and with a table width of 1024 pixels and a border thickness of 1. So let's create that and preview that in our browser just to see what we've created. And you can now see we've created a table with one row and one column that has been aligned to the left. So the first thing we want to do is we want to look at the different ways that you can align the table. And there are three different alignments that you can choose in Dreamweaver. And the first one is left, and the second one is center, and then you can align it to the right as well. And you'll find this under the Properties tab at the bottom here. So let's just see what happens if we align this in the center instead. Let's preview that again. And now you can see we've aligned the table in the center of the browser instead. And this alignment function works with several different things such as images and your navigation bars, etc. But I'm going to show you the different ways that you can do this, because sometimes you're going to be selecting the actual image and sometimes you're going to be selecting the field in which you've placed the image. And the second thing we want to do now is we want to look at how you can insert new columns and new rows without creating a new table, as well as merging cells in the table we've created. There are two ways in which you can add additional cells to your table, and the first one is by splitting the cell. And this is done by right-clicking within the cell you want to split and going to Table and selecting Split Cell. So let's try and split the cell into rows, and we want 2 rows. And click OK, and now you can see that the one cell has suddenly become 2 cells, and we've added a new row. So this one row has become 2 rows. Let's click Undo and go back to the Split Cell function and click Columns instead and choose 2 columns. And you can now see we've created 2 columns out of this one cell. Let's click Undo, and the next thing I'm going to show you is how to add additional rows or columns without splitting the cell. This is done by right-clicking the cell and going into Table and choosing Insert Rows or Columns instead of Split Cell that we previously chose. So Insert Rows or Columns, and you can choose to either insert rows or columns in any amount. So let's choose 5. We want these to be inserted below the selection. So let's click OK. And now you can see we've inserted 5 rows below the cell that we selected. Let's undo this and go back to Insert Rows or Columns and try inserting 5 columns instead. And now you can see we've inserted 5 new columns beside the initial column. Now let's look at how you can merge cells. And you do this by selecting the cells that you want to merge. So I'm going to select these 3, and you right click the selection, you go to Table again, and you click Merge Cells. And that's all you have to do. You can merge any cells in the table this way. You just select the cells that you want to merge, and you go into Table and just choose Merge Cells. The next thing that we're going to look at is how to insert images, and there are several ways to do this, and I'm going to show you a few different ways right now. One way is by going down into Files and going to the Assets tab, and here you'll see a list of all the images that you have in your image folder. And you can preview your images here, which is really useful if you have a number of different images and you have to find a specific one. And from here you can just drag your image into the place on the page where you want it. So we want to drag it into the cell that we've merged. So let's just drag it into there, and let's not worry about the alternate text right now. Let's click OK, and now you can see we've added the image. Let's just undo that, and I'm going to show you another way, which is by going into Images up here and just dragging it in from here. Click OK, and let's undo that. And another way to do it is by going up into Insert under the menu and just click Image and go down and insert the image that way. And the last one I'm going to show you is simply by clicking this image icon right here, and if that's not the icon that's up right now, then go into the menu and just click image there and insert your image that way. The last thing that we're going to look at is how to insert a navigation bar. And before we do that, we're just going to create an empty space under your site by selecting these cells and just merging them so that we can insert our navigation bar here. And Dreamweaver has a great function to insert a navigation bar. All you have to do is go up to Insert and Image Objects and just choose Navigation Bar. And now we're going to go through the different elements of this function. The reason we want to create a navigation bar is so that our visitors can navigate to different parts of our website. And in our case, we only have one page, so we're going to have to redirect all the different buttons that we create in this navigation bar to that one page called index.html. And the first thing I'm going to do now is I'm going to create one button, and I'm going to add some values here. I'm going to add an up image, an over image, and a link, so it redirects to the index page. And after I've done that, I'm going to preview it in the browser and explain exactly what I've done there, and then we're going to add some additional buttons. So let's start by creating our home button, and we're going to add an up image, which is the image that is displayed before anything has happened. So let's browse for our home button, and our over image will be home button over, and this will redirect to index.html. So let's click OK, and we're just going to preview this now in the browser. And you can see we've created one button now in our navigation bar called Home. And if we hover over this button, you can see that it turns black. This is because we've added an over image where home, the text home, was typed in black. And if we click this button now, you can see that it loads. It's loading the index page, which is the same page as the button was added to. So it's just redirecting to itself pretty much. So let's go back into Dreamweaver now, and we're going to delete this. And we're just going to start from the beginning. We're going to insert image objects and navigation bar. We're going to insert 4 different buttons now. So we're going to insert one called Home again, and just browse for Home and Home button over, and we're redirecting this to index.html. And if you want to add a new button now, you have to click the plus sign, add item, and we're going to call this one About. And our up image will be About button, and our over image will be About button over. And if you don't have any similar images right now, you can just create some really simple images in either Paint or Photoshop or something, just so you can follow along here. And the only thing you have to think about is that you want one of the buttons to have a text of one color, and then the other button to have a text of a different color, so you can get this over image effect. So let's continue here and just redirect this one as well to index.html, and we're going to add our next button, which is going to be called Products, which is going to have an up image of Products button and an over image of Products button over. And we're going to redirect this again to index.html. And our last button is going to be called contact with an up image of contact button and over image of contact button over. And when clicked, we want this to redirect to index.html. So let's just click OK and preview what we've created here. Now you can see we've created a navigation bar with 4 different buttons, and each one with a different over image, which simply just means that the text changes color. Since that's the only difference in the images that we've created a button with a gray text and a black text, and we've just added these to up and over image, and all of these buttons just redirect to the home page, the index.html. And that's pretty much how you create a navigation bar. And then you can just change the link of each of these buttons to whatever page you want them to redirect to. Before we end this tutorial, let's look at one last feature of the navigation bar. As you can see here, we've inserted this navigation bar horizontally, but it could also be inserted vertically. If we head on back into Dreamweaver, under Insert, we can also choose vertically. Click OK, and let's just preview that in the browser. And as you can see now, the navigation bar has been inserted vertically instead. In the next tutorial, I'm going to show you how to add text to your page, align it vertically and horizontally, as well as how to create additional pages and how to link these properly.